So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that anyone who finds this video has worked on or thought of working on game development. I think there's going to be quite a bit of overlap between like Linux and like computer nerds and video game development. When I was a kid, I found this channel called Elysium Shadows, and that's where I found out about video game development. Honestly, it felt like such a vibe, right? It was just like a bunch of dudes in the attic of one of their parents' house trying to build, I think it was a Dreamcast game. I'm pretty sure that like the whole thing burned and died after like 10 years of game development, but at the time it really like interested me how they were building video games. See, I'm a person who likes to work on projects. I'm pretty sure I said this word for word before in other videos. But I am a person who likes working on projects, and it seemed like a new type of project I could work on. So I started building games. I think the first game engine I used was a game engine called 3D Rad. I never sat down and worked on any full games. I just worked on little projects here and there. And it was fun. I mean, heck, coming back from school and just like messing around on 3D Rad until I got bored. And then I would go online, look at what other people were doing. This was back when people still use forums. I was never actually logged into the forum, but I do remember lurking in it from time to time. And that's how it was for a while. And every once in a while, I'd find a new engine or new way to code it, like Blitzmax, Unity, Godot. Okay, I've used Blitz Basic, 3D Rad, Monkey, which was made by the Blitz Basic guy. I also tried Blitz 3D and stuff. I did Godot, G-Develop, Unity, Defold, and some other ones that I honestly don't even remember. I probably worked on a few hundred projects just because I would start something, get bored, and give up on it. And I don't have a single one of them saved because I'm the kind of guy who every time he has to try out a new distro would just grab a random hard drive and do full wipe without ever backing anything up. So I've lost hundreds of projects. They were fun. I had fun messing around with them. And that's honestly all I thought of like game development for me was. It was just building fun things temporarily and then stopping when I got bored of it. See, I really like watching game development videos because it scratches the same itch as like building projects and that kind of stuff, where I like watching a person get something out of their mind and building it. But the problem is every game development channel would make advice videos and I would listen to them because it was interesting. I liked learning stuff. But one of the main things that they say is finish projects. See, for a lot of them, it was a project, which makes sense. It is a project for 99% of people, I guess. But they would think of it like almost schoolwork. They would make an outline. They would say, this is the time period, that kind of stuff. The first time I really noticed it was I used to watch Quill18 make Ludum Dare videos, and he would have like a document that he would write when he was starting his project, plan ahead, that kind of stuff. And I kept hearing that same piece of advice over and over again. And eventually I started thinking, wow, I needed to do this. And I did start doing this. I started making design documents, that kind of stuff for games. But in the end, I would just make design documents, start building the game, and then give up like a week in because I was bored with the project already. And then I would just feel guilty every time I opened like the file folder because I would have 3 different projects running at the same time, which I hadn't worked on for weeks. And it just made me feel guilty. And so I stopped working on games because I was not listening to the one piece of advice that literally every game development video would tell me, which is finish a game, and I could not finish a game. So I'd had these cycles of getting an idea for a game, making a little design document thing, working on it for a week, and then getting bored of it, putting it on the back burner, seeing it, feeling guilty, and then deleting it so I wouldn't feel guilty anymore, which is not exactly good. Like, it's not good for your brain to be like, I feel guilty about this. But I don't know if it's because I've gotten older or I've just matured or gotten smarter, but I realized I don't want to make games for other people, right? I don't really enjoy showing other people my games because they're not for other people, they're for me. For me, game development is sort of like having a guitar that I'm not practicing every day, but I like picking it up and strumming once in a while and learning new tips and tricks. I'm messing around with it. I'm not gonna start a band, right? I'm not trying to become a professional. I'm just doing it for fun. And I feel like people should understand that you don't need to make games to show other people. I don't know if it's just the climate of the world we're living in, where the world is like hyper commercialized right now. And I don't think people are comfortable with having a hobby that doesn't do anything other than it being a hobby for them. Part of the thing of what makes me sort of uncomfortable in the game making space is how commercialized everything is. Like, there's a feeling of we're all working on getting a project done to sell. And I feel like that's sort of ruining the feelings you get when you're doing this stuff. You don't need to do this for a living. I'm not planning on getting all that much better at game development. It's a secondary hobby for me. See, game development for me is a hobby that I pick up and let go of from time to time, just when I feel like it. I'm gonna bet that a kid who's 13 and is really into game development will, by the end of 6 months, be able to make much better games than I will ever be able to. And I don't mind that. Game development is just playing for me in a way that video games aren't. Video game making isn't the medium that I like the most. It's too erratic for me. I make videos, I try doing some art once in a while, writing. All people who make projects are, in a way, telling a story or trying to put out what's in their brain into the real world. And for me, video games aren't that. My brain to real world translation device will probably never be game making. For me, it's closer to like doodling. You don't show your doodles off other than just for fun. Like, everyone remembers doodling around on their paper when they're supposed to be working and then showing it to your friends, but you don't finish a doodle. You just work on it until you get bored of it and then you throw it out. And I think people need to be more comfortable just working on something for a minute and then throwing it out when you're bored of it. Because honestly, it's just fun. Because I'm just having some fun with it, you know? I'm also having fun with this. If anyone's wondering, what do I use now? I use GDevelop to make games now because it's the most easiest thing that I've ever worked with. So if anyone is getting into it, try GDevelop. It's really fun to play around with it.